Clapham chemical attacker Abdul Ezedi was granted asylum by a judge who accepted he was a Christian convert despite concerns the sex offender was a liar.
Well, new images of him being baptised have emerged alongside court documents that showed the asylum seeker said he had joined Grange Road Baptist Church in 2016.
Joining us now is Reverend Sally Smith. Sally, good morning. I have real issues with this story. Before we talk about the fact that you've baptised asylum seekers, madam, this guy was a convicted sex offender. Does the church not have a responsibility to report people who are, frankly, a liability to society?
Well, again, I can answer that question, and that, in fact, part of my role when I worked for the Church of England. So I'm not representing the Baptist Church that this case is talking about. I worked for the Church of England and was a priest in the Church of England. And part of my role actually was for safeguarding vulnerable adults. And that included working with the probation service when someone came out of prison, for instance, and wanted to attend a church. There was a very strict process in place where, you know, there was a contract in place and there were safeguarding measures to protect other members of the congregation. But I will have to say that in all of my time working for the Church of England and also being involved in the asylum-seeking community, I never once had to do a contract for an asylum seeker. The people that I was doing contracts for were white, middle-aged, elderly, church-attending gentlemen, or people who were coming out of prison.
I understand it's not your church, and I really appreciate it being. You'd understand the frustration of people that this guy, you know, seemingly is duping the system, really.
Sally, do you think that the church, in a way, is being blamed here for having allowed this person to join that particular Baptist church, when actually it's the Home Office's responsibility to decide who should or shouldn't be allowed to leave to remain in this country when they are a convicted sex offender?
Yes, I think you're right. And I think there are lots of different elements to this case that can't just be pinned onto the fact that he is an asylum seeker. He obviously had got convictions for sexual offences and for violence. I am concerned if that wasn't raised in his appeal.
Absolutely.
And I think that's not the problem of the church, really. That's the problem of government agencies working together and the probation service, because that certainly should have been a part of the consideration.
The point is, and I wish we had more time, I completely understand where you're coming from, but the frustration for people is that the church, and I have to be really careful, and I know it's not your church, and I appreciate what you said, in trying to be whatever the church tries to be, blatantly this man with a sexual abuse record duped the church to pretend to... I mean, this is the worst part about the story, was that he said, I can't go back to Afghanistan because I will face persecution. And the only reason, Sally, that he will suffer persecution is because he turned to Christianity, is what he said, which for me begs the question to everybody in the church, you're being used by these people. How does the church wise up, is what I'm saying, yes?
And I think that is an important conversation. And clearly he was one of the small percentage of people that abused a system that was set up to, well, the system of organised religion, really, in this country in many forms and guises, in all of its different dimensions. And he was a person who clearly abused the system. And I have great compassion for that minister who baptised him, because I can see how vulnerable even ministers are and are put in a position of having to make decisions for people and about people, when trying to be non-judgmental, when trying to acknowledge the fact that people's lives can be turned around, people's lives can be transformed, and yet being able to have the wisdom to decide, is this person genuine or are they not? And I think that is a pressure, and I personally felt that pressure. But I think this is a much bigger conversation around how clergy is supported, how different agencies work together, what information comes out.
How will that clergyman be feeling having made that decision? Serious question.
I would imagine he would be devastated. And I'm not surprised that he doesn't want to talk about it publicly, because if that were me, I would be absolutely devastated. Nobody wants to be, as you say, used or taken advantage of, or to act in a way that can then look back on and considered to be naive. But I have to stress that the vast majority of asylum seekers do not do the things that he has done. He's not representative of the vast majority of people that attend Christian churches up and down this country.
And Sally, at the end of the day, I'm guessing your decision-making is not about who should have leave to remain in the UK, who is or isn't a genuine asylum seeker, or who may face prosecution abroad. Your judgment call is whether or not somebody wants to convert to Christianity, and how could you possibly put, you know, a measure on that? You have to take someone at their word.
How can you see into someone's heart? How can you see someone's relationship with God? How can you hear those silent prayers that are uttered?
Without being the boring one, though, Sally, without being the boring one, because we ain't got much time, there must be a feeling for amongst you that people are used. That's all my thing is that you could and should and are being used in certain situations. We have to go, Sally Smith. Thank you so much, and I mean that, for taking time to be on Talk today.